Tonight on CTV, ASCSU has its first reading regarding misrepresented reproductive health care and where you can get drop off those pesky little tree limbs you've been having lately.
Then, find out when the recently passed plastic bag ban will take effect and learn some other options to help you take that one trip from the car to the house.
All that and more here on CTV Channel 11. Good evening, Rams. I'm Weston Hubbard.
And I am Kenneth Frederick.
Our top story tonight. Last night on April 7th, a skateboarder was killed after being hit by multiple cars on West Elizabeth Street. When police arrived on the scene, the skateboarder was in the middle of the road and was later pronounced dead at the hospital. Skyline and Bryan Avenue on West Elizabeth Street was closed for 5.5 hours. If any of you have any information on the incident, call Fort Collins officer Drew Jerkowski at 970-416-2224.
The ASCSU had its first reading of a controversial resolution last night regarding the Alpha Center and misinformation in reproductive health care. Advocacy for accurate, unbiased, and stigma-free healthcare options is a resolution that aims to engage CSU administration to ensure that unbiased healthcare is advocated for on campus. It specifically names the Alpha Center as an organization that uses misleading marketing to prey on women who are seeking abortion services. Senator Fields claimed that the Alpha Center and other anti-abortion clinics were limiting options for marginalized communities by using deceptive practices to seem like an abortion clinic.
What are their identities? What do they look like? Which people are not allowed to have a choice in these decisions? Those are usually people from the BIPOC community. Those are usually people who've been marginalized. Those are usually people who are in low income.
Fields also said that she had heard from several students who had extremely negative experiences with the Alpha Center. She wouldn't name any of the victims because of the highly sensitive subject, but asserted that the actions of the Alpha Center were articulated in her resolution. Jen McLean, the executive director of the Alpha Center, spoke on the subject during gallery input. She stated that the Alpha Center is transparent in their marketing and communication about their mission. She also declared that if the conditions laid out in the resolution were true about the Alpha Center, that working there would be out of the question for her.
I will tell you that personally, if that was how our business were conducted, I wouldn't work there, and I actually believe that no one on my staff would work there.
The resolution has now gone back to committee to be reworked before its final reading and vote at the next Senate session on April 22nd. We will keep you updated on this resolution and other Senate activities here on CTV Channel 11.
There are many areas of the most recent election in Fort Collins that we're focused on, but one may become more apparent to the public than the rest. No. Shopping at your local big grocery stores are going to be changing here in the near future. Plastic bags are going to be banned within large grocery stores in the Fort Collins area in order to combat the use and waste of single-use plastic bags. This will only apply to the bags used at checkout, and instead they will be switched with paper bags. There is a catch, however, as these paper bags are going to cost 12 cents per each one. The decision passed in the most recent ballot with about 59% of the voters agreeing to it. This shows growth from the past, as the issue has been on the ballot a few times prior and has failed each time to pass. This switch in effect will not take place until May of 2022, and there will definitely be other options that you can use until then. In fact, this pushes to help promote use of the other options, mainly reusable bags, in order to help lessen plastic waste within the Fort Collins community. As said above, this right now only applies to large-scale grocery stores, but this could be expanded into places such as large retailers, restaurants, and any other commercial use of single plastic items. All in all, this ballot has been one for the books in the eyes of who wanted change, and will definitely leave a landmark change on the Fort Collins community for years to come. I guess the next question we're all going to have to ask ourselves is, should we pay 12 cents every single time we get these paper bags, or switch over to reusable bags as a whole?
No, I sure know that I don't have the money to keep doing paper, so I'm going to go reusable. Do you still have a massive pile of branches laying in your backyard from the snowstorm? Well, the city of Fort Collins has opened up 2 free disposal locations for residents to take their debris to. The old Hughes Stadium area off of Taft Hill Road, as well as the Hagman Earth Cycle off of Prospect, will be open until May 7th for residents. If you wish to take your downed limbs to either of these locations, you should be prepared to present some form of proof of your residency. Both sites are open 7 days a week from 8 in the morning until 4:30 in the afternoon.
We recently covered a story regarding the Poudre Fire Authority responding to an emergency call of smoke coming out of a house on March 28th. After they arrived on the scene and were able to combat that fire, they found a deceased body of a man inside. Following this case, we finally do have an update. The man's identity has been released as Charles G. Clark, a 65-year-old Fort Collins resident. They're unsure of the cause of death so far, according to the coroner's office, but the police and fire departments are together investigating to see if they could find any evidence of foul play.
There was no closer race in this year's municipal election than that of District 4's council member. Peel is the only non-left-leaning candidate to enter the race and ran on promises of helping businesses and plans for sustainable growth with an ever-increasing population. The race was so close that it fell within the 0.5% margin that is required for a recount. As of yesterday, though, Patyandi said that they would wait for the official results before they made a decision on what they would do.
Definitely a lot of election stuff, but stick around, Rams, because we have your local weather with Morgan Gardner up next.
That's here on CTV.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Good evening, Rams. My name is Morgan, and tonight we're starting off with some breaking news. As a red flag warning has been called into effect, CBS 4 labeled the Western and High Plains as the more high-risk areas, while areas such as Frisco, Salida, and Trinidad are pretty clear. Ultimately, if you're in one of these red-labeled areas, you might want to refrain from heading outside, as the high winds can lead to the capacity for fire. So we don't want to just be careful with that. And the effect is in morning until 8 p.m. So with that, let's head straight into our regularly scheduled weather rundown. So our current conditions right now, we are sitting at 63 degrees, nice and sunny outside with a little bit of wind, 12 miles an hour, west-northwest, humidity of 0, so it's really sparking the potential for some of those brush fires there. And our sunset at 7:32. And as we head into overnight lows, you can see that across the region we'll be sitting at a lot of the same. So up here in Denver, you can see that we're sitting at 40, Colorado Springs at 39, Pueblo at 40. And over here, we are sitting at 25 in Gunnison, 28 in Vail, so a little bit colder on the western plains there. And alongside the east, we're sitting at 39 in Burlington, 35 in Lyman, so not too much variability across the state here. And as we move into tomorrow's highs, we'll be seeing a lot of the same stuff as we saw today, so nice and sunny outside. Again, along I-25, we'll be seeing 55 in Denver, 54 in Colorado Springs, 62 in Pueblo, so a little bit warmer weather down there. Alamosa sitting at 61 there, so it'll be nice and warm. Nice spring weather there. And as we go into tomorrow's forecast, will be a little bit partly cloudy outside with a lot of wind. So 20, 30 mile per hour winds, gust up to 30 and 40 miles an hour, and sunset at 7:33. And we'll be sitting at 55 with a low of 30 degrees. And as we go into the 5-day forecast here, it'll be a lot as we saw this week, so lots of sun, but a little bit of rain and snow on Tuesday and Wednesday is possible. So tomorrow we'll be sitting at 70 degrees with a low of 38, and across the rest of the days we'll be dipping down 58, 52, 44, and 40 degrees. Not too ideal for our spring break, but hey, it's better than it being super snowy the whole week, right? With that, Rams, that is all the weather I have for you tonight. So stick around and we'll have more news after the break.
I'll be right back. Hi! You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
Welcome back to the news, Rams.
There's more news, so let's get right into it. The break is only a few painstaking days away, Rams. This year, we'll be going into a later than usual spring break and then virtual classes after that. With yet another semester of unusual campus life and weird spring breaks, I hit campus today to ask students how they were feeling about break and what they're going to do after.
I fly out here in about 3 hours to go home, so I'm excited for that.
I'm really excited to go home, have a break from school. I'm definitely needing this break. Yeah.
It is definitely much needed. I have been going crazy with the semester.
Very needed. Yeah, about 4 weeks late at this point.
Students couldn't be any happier about break coming after tomorrow. But after that comes 3 more weeks of school online. Unlike the break, students are feeling anywhere from fine to absolutely dreading it.
Walking out of my last in-person class the other day was less than ideal.
I think it'll be hard. There's a lot of assignments, but I'll get through it. It'll be okay.
I'm ready for it to be over.
Not too happy about that, but happy that all finals are online. Because then it's a matter of, online tests are way easier than in person.
You know, I don't think break could literally come even a second later.
Yeah. That's it. I'm at a loss for words. I just need a break.
You heard it here, Rams.
For Collins, it's time you meet your new mayor, Jenny Arndt. This election sets 2 new standards since 1999. The highest turnout of voters, with around 41,000 voters, as well as Arndt being the first registered Democrat to take position since 1999. She won with about 63% of the vote, according to the Coloradan, which was around 24,000 votes. Arndt has served within the House of Representatives since 2015 and was quoted as wanting to help at a more local level. With a new mayor, let's see what she's capable of and have our hopes and votes counted in the best way possible. But now we're going to go to our live reporter, Samantha Medley, to learn about how CSU is using reading to establish social initiatives.
Thanks so much, Weston. CSU has a new initiative to keep students engaged in social issues through reading. Rams Read is a campus initiative which began this year. The program was designed for students to read a book chosen by the university individually and then come together for a discussion with the author.
We'll be scheduling an array of events and other opportunities to discuss the book and how it might relate to your own life experiences, to engage with others, including the author, and to share your responses and reactions with other members of our CSU community.
The first book chosen for Rams Read is entitled Citizen, an American lyric written by award-winning Claudia Rankine. Citizen discusses the injustices in which Black people face in the United States.
You need to find your people, the people who you can go back to and talk to, who will understand, will not question you, who will believe you when you say this thing has happened, so that you have a space where you are believed, where you are valued, you are listened to.
There were 5 sessions with Rankine over Zoom, where students had the opportunity to engage with the author and other students over the Black Lives Matter movement and injustices within the United States. I just so happened to have taken part in Rams Read, and it was an eye-opening experience. Students have the opportunity to choose the next Rams Read book for the 2021-2022 school year. You can submit your ideas to ramsread at colostate.edu. Back to you, Weston.
Thanks, Samantha. That sounds awesome. We're going to have to take part in that possibly. Larimer County officials have stated their hopes and are optimistic about achieving herd immunity by Memorial Day. This comes after the officials expressed the belief of getting around 65% of people COVID vaccinated by May 25th. This number they view is achievable by the large amount of vaccines becoming readily available and with a plethora of ways to be accessed. Memorial Day is on the 31st of May, and so some time to tell if Larimer County goal can truly be met will be there.
More affordable homes are coming to the downtown area in a place you might not be expecting. The upper floor of the Artery has been vacant for over a year, but Helix Development Group of Fort Collins have plans to change that. The unit that sits above a tattoo shop and a bar originally had 3 bedrooms and some office space. According to their proposal, Helix Development wants to expand the number of bedrooms to 12 while renovating a new communal area that they hope will be a place for collaborations, workshops, and other creative endeavors. The rooms will go from anywhere from $800 to $1,200 and are expected to be leased starting in September.
With the last election update, Hughes Stadium will be kept as an open space after passing with a massive landslide victory in the most recent Fort Collins election. The fight to keep this as open land was advertised all over Fort Collins and Larimer County the last few weeks, with people calling upon their neighbors and friends to defend this open land. According to the Coloradan, it passed to stay safe with a 68.6% approval of the votes. Elena Lopez, one of the members of the Planning Action to Transform Hughes Stadium group, was quoted as saying, "We are ecstatic, we are so happy the voice of the community has been heard, and that's essentially a mandate." This election around, the voters definitely made sure that their voices were heard.
Well, Rams, that's all the news we have for you tonight.
But stick around, Brandon Fairbairn has all the latest news on the sports segment, The Blitz Season 2.
Awkward. I'm the awkward silence. You try to avoid me, then there I am again.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
Like Kelly here is about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
How's it going, Ram fans? I'm Brendan Fairbairn. In the final Blitz segment of the semester, I'll give you a rundown on how CSU softball fared last week in their critical doubleheader against Weber State. Plus, I'll give you all the answers for what has quickly become a confusing quarterback situation in Denver. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Starting things off with the Rams softball. They traveled to Ogden, Utah this past weekend to play against the Weber State Wildcats over what was originally a bye week, losing the first game 1-4 before completely turning things around in the second match, blowing out the Wildcats 12-2. And when you look at their stats from the plate, it's clear to see why the Lady Rams had such a drastic difference from the strike zone between the two matchups. With only 4 hits to start the doubleheader off, this was a night and day difference to the second game of the afternoon, where Coach Fisher's squad exploded for 13 hits and a season-high 12 runs. Game 1 started off very slow, with the first point for CSU not coming until the 4th inning, losing 1-4. But like I mentioned, the second matchup of the doubleheader was a whole different story, with the Rams on the attack early and often, starting things off with a 6-hit, 5-run inning to take a 5-0 lead. And after the early onslaught, CSU came back for some more, closing things out for good in the 5th with 6 more runs on 4 hits. Peyton Allen surely helped, hitting 3-run homer to give Colorado State a huge 12-1 advantage. Maya Matsubara led the Rams with a 3-for-3 plate performance, including 2 runs. But in the end, Julia Cabral's pitching was the difference maker in this one, only allowing 1 earned run and striking out 6 batters. After splitting this important series, CSU now shifts their focus back to Mountain West play, where they host a trio of games against conference rival Fresno State over the weekend. And now moving on from collegiate softball to some professional football. The Denver Broncos seem to have a complete roster on both sides of the ball, except for the most important position, of course, which is quarterback. To start the discussion off, let's take a look at last year's starter. Drew Lock is entering his 3rd year in the league and has only played 18 games, recording 23 touchdowns, 18 interceptions, and 3,953 passing yards and a 79.1% passer rating. Has he proved that he's the guy for the Broncos to build around moving forward? With those stats, absolutely not. Now, this doesn't mean he can't take that Josh Allen-like leap in year 3, but after a dismal 2020 season that saw only 16 touchdowns and 15 interceptions, the Broncos have every right to look at other options as signal caller. Let's take a look at some other options for them at QB. They can trade for veteran Teddy Bridgewater, a guy that has already proved his worth in the league, or you could take a chance on young gun Gardner Minshew, who had a brief stint as a Jaguars starter. But if they really wanted a long-term fix at the position, they could trade the house for three-time Pro Bowler Deshaun Watson, which will make them instantly Super Bowl contenders. But with numerous sexual assault allegations he's currently facing, that really doesn't seem likely. Denver could also look at this year's talented draft class for a QB, or play it safe, sticking to Drew Lock and banking on a large jump in his third year. In my opinion, Deshaun Watson is their best choice, depending on his legal situation, of course. The Texans have to trade Watson before this year's draft to have full value for him. Watson knows he's not playing for the Texans anymore. He will sit out, and the Texans know that, signing Tyrod Taylor in free agency. Despite all this, he had a great 2020 season, throwing for 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 4,823 passing yards, and all this with limited options on a terrible 4-12 team. He really only had Randall Cobb and Will Fuller. Deshaun Watson to the Broncos makes them instant Super Bowl contenders with an elite defense and great offense. I would love to see Watson in Shermer's offense that consists of Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant, and Cortland Sutton, and Gordon in the backfield. On paper, this is a top 3 offense. This also allows the Broncos to compete in the AFC West that consists of Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr, and Justin Herbert. The Broncos haven't beat the Chiefs since week 2 of 2015. That is absolutely embarrassing. Teddy Bridgewater is their next best option to bring in for some competition. This year's draft is obviously loaded with talent. The Broncos are picking at number 9, and their only real option is Mac Jones, but that isn't in the best interest for the Broncos. Bridgewater also plays at a high level with a good supporting cast. He didn't really have that in Carolina, especially with Christian McCaffrey fighting injuries. He had 15 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and 3,733 passing yards. He played a lot better with the Saints, where he went 5-0, and Drew Brees in absence, where he had 9 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So if you do put the pieces around Bridgewater, he will get the job done. This will also help Drew Lock perform a lot better with competition. He hasn't had much competition outside of Joe Flacco, and that really isn't saying much. This will show what Drew Lock really does bring to the table. The downside to a Teddy Bridgewater trade, though, is his hefty contract. The Broncos would have to cop up $17 million for Teddy Bridgewater in 2021. You know the Panthers are looking for a trade partner with after the Sam Darnold trade. And the Broncos do have the draft capital to trade for Teddy Bridgewater, having 9 picks. So the ball is in George Paton's court. The NFL is a quarterback league, though. No matter who starts come September, the Broncos need high-level play at the position to even compete in an AFC West full of high-level QBs. They haven't had that since 2014 when Denver had Peyton Manning. Besides this one glaring weakness, their roster is pretty complete across the board. Denver just can't sit and waste this window with all of this young talent due to poor QB play. I can't wait to see what the Broncos do moving forward. Well, Rams fans, that's all the sports action I have for tonight's show and for the last Thursday night sports segment of the spring. Thank you all so much for sticking with me over the course of the semester and throughout this hectic academic year. I hope you've enjoyed seeing the Blitz grow over the many weeks just like I have, but don't go away just yet. Tom Isaacson is up next to give you all of the spice and entertainment for one last time.
Awkward. I'm the awkward silence. You try to avoid me, then there I am again.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
Like Kelly here is about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
Welcome back, Rams and Ram fans. My name is Tom Isaacson, here to give you everything you need to know about the world of entertainment. I have a lot to tell you, so we have a minute to waste. And tonight we start with some big news. Northern Colorado has in general been a huge place for eats. Well, we have the West Coast King coming to us real soon. In-N-Out is once again planning to come to NoCo. While the chain was eyeing Fort Collins to be the first site of its Northern Colorado locations, it looks like that honor could lie with Loveland due to space constraints here in the city. The chain submitted plans to the city of Loveland last week. This is still in the concept phase, of course, but for burger enthusiasts such as myself, this is great news. All right, besides Tuesday, warmer weather is coming back to Colorado, which makes many eager for summer. I love warmer weather, but something I love with it is Fort Collins festivals. Festival planners are, let's just say, hesitant to announce any plans for the summer or fall. However, hopes are high. As all Colorado adults are eligible for the vaccine, herd immunity does continue to be a hopeful option for festival goers. Things like the Greeley Stampede and Fort Collins' favorite, New West Fest, are planning to go full steam ahead, while paying attention to COVID cases and statistics. Now, even though the holiday season is, for the most part, over, birthdays happen all the time, and sometimes you just need to get a gift for that special someone. And if you don't know about this gift shop, let me tell you, it's unlike anything else here in town.
Everyone has influences from their childhood. You could say it's what makes them curious. Well, nothing compares quite like Curiosities.
I come from San Diego a long time ago, almost about 30 years ago. And I grew up, my parents had a gift store, and I just had such great memories of working with them and growing up in the biz. I loved it. I loved people. I loved the gift business.
Celebrating 25 years in operation and getting through a pandemic, Curiosities has everything you could possibly need for a gift for anyone.
We have I use the word eclectic theme. We try to feature artists from around the world.
But it's about more than running the shop. Curiosities is also about supporting local art.
You know, I really love interacting with customers and also just finding really unusual gifts and jewelry and supporting all of the independent and local artists and showcasing their work in our store.
For me, it's the people. It's the people that I work with. It's the people that I meet as the customers. I love talking to them, getting to know them.
And they've been able to stay afloat during the pandemic because of the unique touches within the community.
What we're also really big here is that we're very inclusive. We want everybody and anybody to feel, welcome here.
I've shopped at Curiosity since I was 14. It's been the perfect little shop for anything I've needed to get. Such a cute place. As we know, COVID times have hit hard, and I think every student understands the stress of student loans and debt. But here's a bit of good news to keep your faith in humanity high. This year, as the pandemic raged on, the CSU Tuition Assistance Grant Program marked its 10th anniversary by aiding more than 4,000 students. The program has disbursed a total of $180 million to over 21,000 students in its decade-long lifespan, and continues to help even more. Those are incredible numbers. Now, on this segment of the show, I like to find clips that make you laugh, say, aw, or leave you in disbelief. However, for this last one, I had to go for something that I knew was going to get a smile out of you. So check this out. I love elephants. Baby elephants are so adorable, and this video is just after my own heart. One of my favorite parts of going to the zoo. Well, Rams, this is it, the grand finale. Thank you all so much for tuning in with me tonight and hanging out. We hope you have a great rest of your evening, and all CSU students have a well-deserved break. My name is Tom Isaacson. Good night.